welcome you guys to the podcast. You guys don't know me, but my name is Asher. I'm a good friend of Geo's, and we have decided to start a podcast with one another. So in this video, you'll get three things. We are going to do an introduction of ourselves. Number two, we will do an introduction as to the reasoning behind starting the podcast. And number three is what we hope to do moving forward with the podcast and with all the good and great and awesome content we're inevitably going to produce. So yeah, that's the plan. So to start out, like I said, my name is Asher, and I am a good friend of Geo's. We've known each other for some time, probably 3 or 4 years. 3 years.
About 3 years.
3 years.
Going on 4.
Going on 4, yeah. And I don't know, I'll speak for myself. Just a regular guy, like anyone else, who is, I guess I could say concerned for our generation, but more on the side of just interested in helping others. And I think we're going to be able to put content out there through this podcast that will do just that, hopefully. So, Geo?
Yeah, so I'm Geo. Very similar to Ash in the regards of concern for our generation, but optimistic nonetheless. And I possess a belief, just like Ash, that we can be a positive influence on this world and the people in it. And so, that kind of hinges into like introducing the podcast itself. We think we're going to attempt to talk about social issues, and we want to come at it from the perspective of calm level-headedness. We want to be of sound reason, and we want to be of sound clarity. We want to speak in such a way that anybody feels as though they can understand and also relate to what we're saying. So,
yeah, and I think, like you're saying, that goes into the reasoning behind the podcast. We, ever since we struck a friendship, have made it a point to get together and have conversations. And I think we both have clearly found a lot of value in that, value that happens because two people come together and decide to discuss ideas and create a dialogue. And that's been super valuable to me, to the point where whenever Geo reached out about even producing just one show, I was like, yes, this is a great idea. I'm all in. And I think that just goes back to helping people and just discussing ideas. And but yeah, we've always been able to just sort of have comfortable conversations about stuff that other people might find hard to converse about, and that's been valuable, like I've said. And a little history, a little backstory is that we would, I think we just, for me, it was that I found so much value in it that I would seek out Geo through just inviting him, or he would invite me, or we would just both make plans to go and get coffee. And in that, we found that, it was an environment where we could just talk for hours about stuff that was valuable, stuff that was thought-provoking, and it's always been good. And so I think now we are at a point where we think it's going to be a value to share those things. And I guess that leads into our third point about what we hope to do moving forward. Say about that?
Yeah. So, a huge testament to our friendship is that we've been able to not only to express our ideas and views to each other, but also learn from each other. And so, what we want to do most of all is actually learn from others. We want to extract as much value from the ideas and experiences of other people, and hopefully present them in such a way that is true and accurate, and also sort of combine that with our own ideas and beliefs in such a way that everybody feels as though they are being thought provoked and considered, right? Because we want this to be an environment in which all people feel welcome and invited. And it stems from a belief that we have about humanity, which is we're all fundamentally the same. So regardless of our characteristics or our different beliefs or whatnot, at the end of the day, we're all human and we have the same basic needs. And therefore, we have to learn how to live harmoniously together and live in balance with each other. So, yeah, for me, it all points to love. And this is something that we've discussed prior to this conversation, but one of the greatest ways to express love is to give each other our time. And giving each other our time for us in this format looks like having conversations and attempting to reach out to people, and hopefully you guys reach out to us. Like, we don't want this to be totally one-sided. Like, we hope that you feel comfortable and opportuned to touch base with us and feel welcome. Like, we want to build a community. We want to, even though we can't maybe be physically in proximity to each other, we want to give that impression that we are relatable, because we are. We're just, at the end of the day, two regular casual dudes. So
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we both saw, and we will touch on in our first and upcoming podcast, is that there's a certain lack of role models and pronounced just roles that we should seek to be more like in the current day. There were definitely those in the past that we can use as examples, but currently there are people that are polarized. On either side of whichever spectrum you would, you can think of. But we would like to hopefully find truth, and then in that find just a foundation for people to really chase after, that our generation can chase after. And I think that was one of the pulls for me. Was I know a lot of 20-year-old guys who are just lost, and I'm sure there are girls out there that sort of feel the same way. So anyways, we want to have that conversation and make it a point of dialogue. We just want to be able to talk about it, because we know people are out there having a tough time, and the people that aren't, that's awesome, but we want to be there to help. Acknowledge the thing in each of us that seeks out just love, honestly. So
love and understanding.
So
I guess one last thing that I have to add to this discussion, which is we are considered Gen Zers, so much of the content that we have will have that sort of Gen Z perspective, kind of spun on it. But I don't want anybody to feel excluded just because of that. This is not a podcast solely for Gen Zers, but we do speak with the awareness that we're of, I guess, next to Gen Alpha, the latest generation, right? So we see it as a duty and an obligation to take the reins and steer the course of humanity in a way that suits us and what we want and what we desire. And of course, I think we've already established that we want to do what is true, what is loving, what is just, what is right, and ultimately what collectively we can agree upon. So that is finding common ground through conversation and dialogue. And I believe there's immense power in that. Again, I can't express again how thankful I am to have Asher, because without him, there's several things that I would not have learned, or perhaps I would have learned much later in life. And so I think that the more we sit down and do stuff like this, the better off we are.
Sounds good to me. If you're looking forward to more content like this. Subscribe, like, share, all the basic things. But I think it all kind of goes back to just being involved. Be involved with us. I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most. So hope to see you on the next one.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. We trust that you were glad to see us today. We were glad to see you, even though we can't physically. But yeah, we hope that next time you tune in, you'll enjoy the content that we have. And as we continue to do this and pursue this endeavor, we'll do it to a better and higher degree of quality. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your views. Please provide feedback, comments, questions, critiques, etc. Always appreciate that. And yeah, take care. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.